Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to show you some of the stuff that the headgears that you can craft with the new update coming next week, December the 5th. It's the OGH Challenge Mode, or Old Glast Heim Challenge Mode. And basically all headgears that you can craft, the Temporal Circlets is what they call, are slotted, and they're all level 170 requirement. All classes actually get a craftable headgear, including the expanded class. Yes, even the super novice gets a headgear. So this is actually a great free-to-play option. So for those of you who want to go through the game F2P, I'm sure this is a video that you really want to sort of have a look at. Now let's talk about redemption first. All this information has just been taken from Divine Pride and the Hazy Forest websites, so you know it might be different, but so obviously for official service the content stays the same. So basically you need 5 sealed temporal circlets, and with that you can craft 1 temporal circlet. And you can actually still get these sealed temporal circlets even from level 1 to level 10. So they're not that easy to get. I'm sorry, they're not that hard to get. But at the same time, it's also the process of enchanting them. Obviously, we're not going to talk about enchants because that will just prolong the video. Today, we're just going to show you the stats or the stat blocks for the different temporal circlets per class. First, War Portal's favorite child, again the Temporal Circlet for the Rune Knight. HP plus 250 per 2 refines, SP plus 3% per 3 refines. You get Dragon Breath damage and Dragon Breath water damage plus 15% every 3 refines. And you get long range damage plus 5% per 4 refines. Now plus 11 you get after Castellet minus 5%. Now just looking at this, it doesn't, you know, you may think that, oh, that doesn't look pretty good, you know, Fafnir sounds probably a lot better or something else, but this is actually gold for F2P players because there hasn't been a proper sort of non-OCP headgear for Dragon Breath. With this, you can actually combo it with the Grace Dragon armors, which means that you can actually run Dragon's Breath F2P. Although you will have problems with VCT and ACD most likely, but still you'll have a working build with at least decent damage. Next, the Temporal Circlet for the Royal Guard. You get 15 attack per 2 refines. You get attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. You also get Vanishing Point and Cannon Spear damage plus 15% per 3 refines, and long range damage plus 5% every 4 refines. At plus 11, you get attack plus 5%. Does look a little bit lackluster. You'll find that the whole attack plus 5% at plus 11 is going to be something very common with the Temporal Circlets. But the thing is, you know, that you have this option, or you can use the old Casket of Protection, which obviously gives Cannon Spear and Overbrand damage. If you're leaning more towards the Vanishing Point damage, you can probably get this, because you actually get more damage for Vanishing Point. You know, for me, Vanishing Point is probably a lot easier to handle or a lot easier to run compared to Overbrand, especially if you don't really have that budget. But yeah, at least gives you an option. Plus, you know, obviously the enchants sort of are the same. It's just harder to get the enchant material though. Next, the Guillotine Cross Temporal Circlets. Attack plus 15 per 2 refines. Attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. And you get Rolling Cutter and Counter Slash damage plus 20% per 3 refines. Attack plus 2% per 4 refines, which actually doesn't... I don't understand it. At least at plus 11 you get ACD minus 5%, which I guess helps. But obviously with the GX, ACD is probably the last problem that you have. It's not great, but it's a good headgear for Rolling Cutter. Like a dedicated headgear for Rolling Cutter, if you want to say that. Next, the Temporal Circlet for the Shadow Chaser. I've actually had to delete my video for Fatal Menace. It was sort of supposed to come out next week, but with this coming out, I'll probably just hold off on that, create a video with the Temporal Circlets. Attack plus 15 per 2 refines, attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. You get 30% fatal menace and faint bomb damage every 3 refines. The attack plus 2% per 4 refines. I just don't understand it. At plus 11, you get ACD reduction minus 5%, which is actually, I mean, ACD reduction is still good. Fatal menace has a half-second ACD, so 5% does help lower that a little bit. But at the same time, that 30% damage per 3 refines is actually a welcome change for the Fatal Menace build, especially with the Gullah Teeth already in the game. And then you can still use the Demon's Familiar for additional attack. Fatal Menace players for Shadow Chasers, they're gonna love this. Next, the Mechanic Temporal Circlets, attack 15 per 2 refines, same thing. Attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. You get 10% arm cannon and knuckle boost damage per 3 refines. You get 5% long range damage per 4 refines. At plus 11, you get ACD minus 5%. It's actually a great F2P headgear for knuckle boost and Vulcan arm builds. You know, to be fair, you could probably use old driver band for the arm cannon. You know, you'd probably be better off using that, but I'd rather use this if I'm doing like the knuckle boost build, especially because there is a grace set around it, and that's something I really want to try next year. Next, the Geneticist, attack 15 per 2 refines, attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. You get 20% more damage for Spore Explosion and Card Tornado per 3 refines, and you get 2% physical damage to all sizes per 4 refines and ACD minus 5%. This is actually good to see that Card Tornado is getting some options, some support, I guess. I just wish there was a way to do with a 2-second cooldown for Axe Tornado though, otherwise it wouldn't be good. Next, something that I really love is the Temporal Circlet for the Archbishop. M attack plus 15 per 2 refines, VCT minus 3% per 3 refines, Adora damage plus 20% per 3 refines, and you get 1% holy property damage, 7% holy property damage per 4 refines. At plus 11 you get M attack plus 5%, which nobody really cares, but you know, the thing is, this is actually really good. Now the Adoramus build for the Archbishop gets some support, some F2P support in terms of headgear, because obviously the Nightmare Biolab headgear for the Archbishop is more for Magnus Exorcismus and Judex, I think. The bonuses aren't meta breaking. You know, it's not going to beat any of the OCPs that a lot of ABs are using now, but this is actually something good for the F2P space, and I love it. Next, the Temporal Circlet for the Surra class, attack 15 per 2 refines, 2% HP per 3 refines. You get 20% knuckle arrow damage per 3 refines and 10% tiger cannon damage per 3 refines. You also get 5% LRD per 4 refines, and obviously at plus 11 attack plus 5%. The headgear is making me want to learn to play Surra. You'll sort of understand, because Tiger Cannon and Knuckle Arrow, both of these skills have a grace set, from episode 17.1 that you can use. So it would really be nice to use the weapon from the Somatology lab. You'll probably see me talking about that weapon on Saturday, but the build is slowly starting to look more viable to me. Next, the Ranger Temporal Circlet, attack 15 per 2 refines, 5% critical damage per 3 refines. That's actually pretty good. You get arrow storm damage plus 20% per 3 refines, as well as aim bolt. And every 4 refines you get 5% long range damage. And guess what? At plus 11, we get something special. We get arrow storm cooldown minus 1 second. Guys, this is huge. This is actually a great headgear for those people who want to play iRO Storm but sort of can't play because they can't afford the Ignis Cap Type K combo with the virtual bow. The 1 second reduction here, and then you can get another 1 second cooldown reduction from Superbia String, which is a Sin weapon from episode 17.2. You can just, you know, get it from, yeah, I don't know what monster drops it. I don't even have one. And then you can still use a Demon's Familiar because it's a mid headgear. So then you still get the additional 200 attack and 200 M attack. Then maybe 0.3 second cooldown reduction for Erymantian Skin. Or maybe like 0.2 seconds if you want to run Prism Ranger Scarf. You know, if the Erymantian Skin isn't within budget. That would mean that you could actually get your cooldown from iRO Storm from 3.2 seconds to 0.9 seconds. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, guys, but currently with all the gear that I have for iRO Storm, I think the cooldown that I have is at 0.4. So basically you're just missing a half second less, but still, if you think about it, it's still spammable. You just need enough attack speed to sort of make it worth your while. Next, the Temporal Circlet for the Wanderer and Maestro. Both classes can use it. Obviously, they have to share a lot of stuff. M attack plus 15 per 2 refines, VCT minus 5% per 3 refines. You get 20% damage for reverb and metallic sound per 3 refines, and you get 7% neutral property magic damage per 4 refines. And obviously at plus 11 you get M attack plus 5. Sort of like a budget version of Wing headphones. But the great thing about this is you can still run Demon's Familiar with the middle headgear slots sort of freed up, because Wing headphones usually takes the upper and the middle part, you know, and then you can run the Sin weapon like the Progressia Rhythm or the Whip. I don't know what the Whip is called, Progressia something, I guess. And I know I had one. I just forget. I don't play it a lot. But yeah, this is actually a good budget version of the Wing headphones. And to be honest, with enough upgrades, this could actually trump the Wing headphones without a doubt. Next, the Warlock. M attack plus 15 per 2 refines, VCT plus 3, minus 3%, obviously, nobody wants plus VCT. Per 3 refines. You get 20% Chain Lightning and Jack Frost damage per 3 refines, and you get 5% wind and water property magic damage per 4 refines. A plus 11 M attack plus 5%, nobody cares. I'll be honest, this is actually I was actually in the process of making a Jack Frost build before the sort of skill rework, but that sort of got derailed just because of the sort of the rebalance of Jack Frost. But I might actually revisit that, you know, because of this headgear. Next, we have the Temporal Circlet for the Sorcerer. M attack plus 15 per 2 refines. VCT minus 3% per 3 refines. You get Psychic Wave and the Diamond Dust damage plus 20% per 3 refines, and you get 5% neutral and water property magic damage per 4 refines. Obviously plus 11 M attack plus 5%. Woohoo, nobody cares. But yeah, it's this is actually pretty good because now Psychic Wave and Diamond Dust are starting to get more, how should I say this, more support, more F2P support, you know. I think the Sorcerers get a Grace Armor set for Diamond Dust and Psychic Wave in episode 17.1, so it would actually be pretty good to try that. Now we're going through to the expanded classes. I'm sure that a lot of expanded class players are very excited for the Temporal Circlet just because, you know, it gives you guys a little bit more F2P support. For the Obero class, this can also be used by both the Obero and the KAGO. The Temporal Circlet, M attack plus 15 per 2 refines, attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. You get 30% damage for Wind Blade and Freezing Spear per 3 refines. I honestly wish that it also had flaming petal damage, but obviously it's not, right? You get 5% wind and water property magic damage every four refines, and plus 11 M attack plus 5%. Nobody cares. Even though this is actually still a good headgear for a magic ninja. I actually have one in the works now. I actually had one uploaded for December, but I deleted it because when I saw this, I was like, nah, when I'm gonna make that video, I'm gonna make sure that this is on there just so that we can maximize the content for you guys. Next, Obero's counterpart, the KAGO. Also, obviously, this Temporal Circlet can also be used by the Obero class because they're obviously interchangeable. Attack plus 15 per 2 refines, attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. Cross Slash gets 20% damage per 3 refines, and Kunai Explosion gets 30% damage per 3 refines. You also get 2% physical damage to all sizes for every 4 refines, and obviously attack plus 5% at plus 11. Cross Slash is actually getting a lot of support, you know, a lot of options now, and I really like it. I know a lot of players play physical Cross Slash KAGO. I wish there was some for Kunai Splash as well, you know, because I like that one. I like that. It's an AoE, you know, and it's, you know, it's like a round trip but with kunais, right? Next, Rebellion class, every macro user's favorite character. Well, that was before the mechanic exterminator, but obviously Rebellion, Temporal Circlets, attack plus 15 per 2 refines, attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. You get 20% damage for round trip and vanishing buster every 3 refines. This is actually pretty good because I actually have a round trip rebel. Long range damage plus 5% per 4 refines, and at plus 11 you get ACD minus 5%. I don't know. I haven't really sort of looked into ACD for my rebel, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be pretty straightforward, you know, in a sense. And I've always liked running round trip. And it's actually faster and easier to level with a round trip rebel in your party rather than, you know, something else. You know, just, I guess, so long as obviously you have the gear for it. Next, the Soul Reaper, M attack plus 15 per 2 refines. You get VCT minus 5% per 3 refines, which is actually pretty good off the bat. You also get 20% damage for Curse Explosion and whatever. And then you get 7% Shadow Property damage per 4 refines. M attack plus 5% at plus 11. Now I'm happy this is out because I'm actually in the process of making an SWU Soul Reaper build. I couldn't really put a finger on it, but when I found out that this was coming out, I'm like, yeah, this is the last piece of the puzzle. So once I get this thing to, I don't know, maybe plus 9, you know, I don't want to get it plus 11 and 5% M attack. What's that gonna do? But yeah, it's this is a welcome change for me. Next, the Soul Reaper's counterpart, the Star Emperor, attack plus 15 per 2 refines, attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. And you get 30% falling star damage per 3 refines and 2% physical damage to all sizes per 4 refines. Obviously, plus 11, attack plus 5%. This is actually great for auto attack builds. The problem now is really how to survive the amount of, you know, the mobs, especially with the amount of HP that expanded classes have. I'm sure a lot of people have figured that out, but, you know, just sort of in the free-to-play sense, you know, in the F2P space, you know, that's something that really needs to be looked into, just because it's sort of hard, especially for the expanded class, to sort of mob and, you know, try to survive a whole mob of monsters, you know. Next, we got the Summoner. Finally, the Dorm's getting an F2P headgear. Attack plus 15 per 2 refines, attack speed plus 2% per 3 refines. You get 20% damage for Catnip Meteor, and Picky Pack per 3 refines. You get 5% long range damage per 4 refines and 7% neutral property magic damage per 4 refines. And at plus 11 you get ACD minus 5%, which is actually pretty good. It leans more towards the physical aspect of the Summoner class, especially with Picky Pack and the LRD and then attack plus 15 per 2 refines. Still a good F2P headgear for the Summoner class though. It doesn't have a lot of headgear options at this point, but I actually might try my hand in playing Summoner one of these days. And last, I know a lot of people in the forums were talking about Super Novices not really getting the support that they need. I don't play Super Novice at all, and I don't really know anything about the class. But at least you guys get your Temporal Circlet. You get 10 M attack and attack per 2 refines. You get 4% attack speed per 3 refines. You get 4% VCT reduction per 3 refines. And you get 5% critical damage per 4 refines. And 5% all property magic damage per 4 refines as well. At plus 11, ACD minus 5%. Kind of a jack of all trades headgear. You know, given the nature of the Super Novice, it doesn't really have a specific damage increase. It looks subpar, but I'm sure a lot of Super Novice players would actually appreciate this. Obviously, you can always go OCP, but yeah, like given they probably have the least amount of support, the least amount of options in the F2P space, and it's good that the Temporal Circlet is out now. That way, it's sort of easier for them to sort of mix and match and try to run this with the current builds. I might actually try to run an F2P Super Novice. I'm not sure if my brain will survive, but yeah, it's definitely worth a try. And so guys, that's it for our video around the Temporal Circlets. Again, these are craftable headgear from the OGH challenge mode, or old Glast Heim challenge mode. It is definitely hard. Level 1, I think the last boss, it has like 600 million HP. You know, at level 10, it's got 2 billion HP. You know, so run it with friends. You know, if you can't solo it, most of the time you can't really solo it unless it doesn't fight back, which is probably easier, like what Red Pepper was back then. But you know, obviously, this is another F2P option for, especially for a lot of players out there that really don't want to spend the money. You know, this is a headgear that you might want to get. You know, just to sort of finish your build in a sense. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.